This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Jason Glick, how are you?
I'm good, John. Yourself?
Oh, not bad. So what do you have on tap for us tonight?
Well, I have something that's like somewhat relevant to the film we saw prior to going to Fanime.
What
Earlier this
film?
year.
What film? What is this?
X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh, cool. You know, everyone's favorite character in the X-Men film. Oh, wait, hold on.
Now, we actually seem to like this film a lot more than other people did, though.
I'd have to say that's true.
Yeah, you enjoyed it without reservation. I told you afterwards I thought it was as entertaining as it was cheesy, and it was very cheesy.
I'm willing to grant that.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that this is the kind of film that you really had to have seen the previous two films in the cycle to get the most of the emotional connections in the film. But but like I said, it was not that well received. It kind of brought back the feelings that hey, the third film in the X-Men cycle is going to be universally reviled, kind of like with The Last Stand, which I didn't think was that bad, but I guess that's kind of the thing as it is as well. But hey, the trailer for Logan is fucking awesome, and I hope the film is just half as good.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I did love the trailer for that, I'll have to say. I want to see how they reinterpret some of the source material to make this movie.
Oh yeah, so and we only have to wait until March in order to see that. So, but
damn it.
but yeah, but however, because the Marvel loves to try to find a way to tie in their comics to the films that are released, even if they're coming from another company, however obliquely, they will. It's like we got at the same time the Apocalypse movie came out. We got a thematic X-Men crossover between All New X-Men, Extraordinary X-Men, and Uncanny X-Men called Apocalypse Wars. Now, Apocalypse has been one of the big bads for years in the X-Men family. From his first appearance way back in the early days of X Factor to his crowning achievement in the Age of Apocalypse, where history was changed in a way that allowed him to enact his survival of the fittest theory throughout the Marvel universe. It was a great alternate universe story from the 90s that still holds up pretty well. It's pretty well today. Now, since then though, it's like Apocalypse has been, we've been trying to find they've been trying to find new and interesting ways to handle to deal with the character, and they've been kind of finding it's really been kind of a hash for the most part. After he disappeared in the timeline following Peter Milligan's Blood of Apocalypse series in the Adjectiveless X-Men series. It's probably the most memorable Apocalypse storyline hasn't even involved the character himself. It was the Dark Angel saga from Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Men run. It basically had with Apocalypse out of the picture, his nearest successor, Angel or Archangel of the X-Men, was his Apocalypse derived persona was started to assert itself, and and all sorts of bad shit went down from it. It was a great 10-issue arc that stands as some of the best storytelling in the X-Men. It's in the last decade, and it's one of the things that made Remender into an A-list writer in the comics industry. Now, that was great stuff. But since then there hasn't been a whole lot of Apocalypse related storytelling because hey, if we're going to go back on try to deal with Apocalypse, we got to bring in the go reference that that storyline. Well, we're not going to touch that unless it's really good. Well, that kind of stuff happens here, and it's not all that good. So, but it's worth mentioning that that while this is technically a crossover, it's more of a thematic crossover more than anything else, because while all three core X-Men titles do a Apocalypse rated storyline, they're all separated by timelines. Like All New X Men tells the story of Evan Sabanur, the it's like the clone of Apocalypse who is raised by Phantom X in a it's like in a VR simulacrum. It's like in the pages of Uncanny X Force. Shows him meeting up with the original kid who would become Ensabanur. It's like back in days of ancient Egypt. Extraordinary X Men tells a future story of how the X Men some X Men were thrown 1,000 years in the future and have to deal with Apocalypse's influence in that day and age. Meanwhile, Uncanny X Men takes the present day tactic of it's like I'm actually like dealing with Archangel and Angel. It's like and how they relate to Apocalypse as well as Apocalypse's son Genocide. It's like I'm trying to stir shit up in the modern era. Of the three, All New X Men probably gives us the well. Okay, I also have to mention like how this series was republished because there is a hardcover collection of all the Apocalypse Wars stories. If you're reading the series by trade, you're going to want to pick up the trade paperbacks themselves because All New X Men and Extraordinary X Men contain extra issues, which if you're reading the series, you're going to want to they contain relevant stuff to the ongoing story. In fact, All New X Men contains the 2 issues that precede the Apocalypse Wars tie-in are actually really entertaining in the sense that we get a story of Toad kidnapping young Cyclops because he realizes that hey it's like the after adult Cyclops completely fucked up the the world and what he did. It's like he figures that hey if he kidnaps and kills young Cyclops that'll save the world. It's like and he even quotes Terminator to make sure it's it's legit and all. But Dennis Hopeless and Mark Bagley tell a pretty compelling story, and one that's a lot darker than you'd expect for this thing. Not just because it's set in underground catacombs, but just the fact that it makes Toad into a credible and creepy villain here, and also posits young Cyclops as someone who's completely out of his depth here, but still has to do some really questionable stuff in order to survive. It's good introductory issue, but the better one is the one that follows. After young Cyclops barely makes it out alive, and young Beast is really upset about how things are working out for this time displaced X-Men group. Well, he then he's while he's angsty about it, he realizes that hey, what if I just got someone to magic this all away? So that leads him to Doctor Strange, and while he shows up to Doctor Strange, while Strange is dealing with the complications of Jason Aaron's Last Days of Magic storyline, where magic is slowly degrading and all out of whack. Beast shows up and says, "Hey, okay, just take your pound of flesh. Let me sign on the demonic dotted line. It's and let me get this out of here." And Strange is yeah. It's I would love to send you away for that beautifully impassioned and disrespectful speech you just gave me. Well, Beast winds up getting sucked into one of Strange dealing with some shadowy demonic creatures, and eventually realizing that even though it's a magic functions on a completely different level from science, it is still bound by rules. It's and laws. And eventually, he uses that sort of thinking to help Strange realize what's going on in this particular situation. It's not all that relevant to to the Last Days of Magic storyline, but but if you're aware of it, it doesn't contradict it, and actually fits in nicely to the side. So it's a nice little story that has Hank broadening his world mind. And also ties into the next storyline, which basically has him trying to figure out ways of using the time machines at his disposal to send the heroes back in time. But it's things aren't scientific trial and error isn't quite working, and and the story itself starts off with as we get to the actual Apocalypse War storyline, um, with Evan, just being kind of bummed about the fact that it's his birthday and he's got to put on a good, nice smiley face for everyone because even though he's generally a nice, well-meaning kid, it's like everyone realizes that hey, if he's not this person, then hey, does this mean he's going to grow up to be Apocalypse? If he's not smiling, if he's going to be angry, does this mean he's going to be someone who's going to enact survival of the fittest and take over the world? It's a nice extrapolation from the setup that Remender has given us, and Hopeless does a good job of tapping into some of that stuff right there. Probably the best of any of the his fellow storytellers here. But the actual storyline has a nice high concept in the sense that after being sent back in time because of complications between Hank's time machine and the Mask of Horus that he got from Doctor Strange, he and young Beast wind up back in ancient Egypt, face to face with the young kid who will become Apocalypse. And surprise, surprise, turns out this kid isn't all that different from young Evan Sabanur. It's like he's a nice this young En Sabanur is actually someone who wants to is rebelling against his dad, who's head of the one of the most brutal raider groups in Egypt, and he wants to find a way that doesn't allow him to to murder random people in order to be accepted, or just show that this, the strong will always dominate the weak, even with the survival of the fittest theory. It's these three issues are a nice little story that ultimately doesn't accomplish a whole heck of a lot. I mean, I liked seeing Evan interact with young En Sabanur. But at the same time, it's kind of like there's not really a big catharsis enacted at the end of the story. I mean, it's Evan wanted to save his younger incarnation from being Apocalypse, but as Beast points out, if you do that, it's like God knows we could wind up with something that's even worse than the present tense we've wound up with. And it's a story that's got some good ideas, but not a lot of follow through in the end. I mean, it's fun for what it is, but I wouldn't say it's probably the best thing the series has offered so far. Like I said, the Doctor Strange story was earlier in the volume was probably the highlight of it. In fact, it's probably the highlight of this whole event, because with Extraordinary X-Men, you get two issues that deal with a lot of various things. Deal with magic, dealing with the young mutant she rescued, Sapna, and how she can see different portals in Limbo, and the other team go into Limbo to rescue a missing mutant who turns out to be Sunfire. And and also Storm and Jean Grey going into Nightcrawler's mind to find out just what drove him nuts, in the first volume. These first two issues are not bad. They're decent. They're decent, good superhero stories that do show an appreciated acknowledgement of larger issues in the Marvel universe, like Weird World, for better or for worse. But overall, this volume kind of shows that that Lemire, even though he's a skilled writer, he just seems to be kind of going. Doing a decent job of going through the motions here. I mean, the actual Apocalypse War story is kind of a classic, X-Men visit a dystopian future tale that, and that also has some of the younger members. Glob and Noel. Ernst. Oh God, why do they keep bringing her up? Because we know that she's supposed to be young Cassandra Nova, but there doesn't seem to be any acknowledgement of that fact. Outside of Grant Morrison's Here Comes Tomorrow storyline. So anyway, and young Martha Johansson and No Girl as well. But while I'm aging them up to be actual X-Men, to have actual X-Men experience is kind of fun. there's like a lot of stuff in here that like that could have worked better, particularly with the fact that Apocalypse himself seems to be kind of an afterthought in here, and that Lemire's larger plan seems to be turning not Cyclops, Colossus into into like into one of Apocalypse's horsemen, War, along with future incarnations of Deadpool, Venom, and Moon Knight as his other horsemen, which are kind of which are interesting, and there are some nice bits that have Deadpool having sewn his mouth shut because he's famine, and when he opens his mouth, like all the bugs come out, and it's like and Jean Grey matching wits with Venom as he takes on it's like as he takes over Wolverine. It's like that stuff's kind of fun, but it's like the entire world is of the year 3000 is basically lots of biomes that have been taken over by that are supported by Apocalypse, and we get to see the various like the X-Men young X-Men who wind up in here initially trying to survive through it. It's like until the real X-Men show up in the following issue. It's like it's a good sci-fi adventure. It's like that ultimately doesn't amount to much, particularly when we get Nightcrawler kind of screws things up for everyone in the end. It's like I can understand why he would do this, but it's kind of like like Kurt. It's like, it's like I loved your it's like your happy-go-lucky personality prior to all this. So it's like seeing you as being like the mentally damaged, impulsive type is kind of disappointing. However, I do admit I loved seeing Humberto Ramos's art for this arc because he's a great artist with a great amount of energy and a great exaggerated design sense that actually works well within this. It's like showing what's what a future embrace set up by Apocalypse would look like. And that's good. That's good stuff. But like overall, it's like it just seems kind of like Lemire's like showing you like the standard hey like an alternate future that's horrible for mutants. I mean, we've seen this before, and it's like and it's not, and it doesn't really offer anything that's particularly different than what we've seen before. If anything, the subplot Lemire is developing with Sapna about how she is apparently going to be some kind of world destroyer seems to have some potential, but Lemire is not part of the ongoing X-Men writer group going forward because thanks to the magic of future solicitations, we've learned that Mark Guggenheim will be writing the one of the Encore X-Men group books, X-Men Gold or X-Men Blue. I can't remember which one he's doing, but anyway, it's like, but the thing is after Inhumans versus X-Men, Lemire is out, so whether or not he's going to be able to wrap up everything within the tie-in issues of Extraordinary he's writing at this moment, well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But it's like it could be worse. But like the song of Extraordinary X-Men, probably best left to people who are like me and who are like dedicated to following the ongoing adventures of the X-Men, which is like better than I can say for Uncanny X-Men, which is probably which is the least of these things, and involves. And while I like the first volume, which is basically kind of like it's basically X-Force, only with the Uncanny title, and it's basically Magneto leading a distaff team made up of Psylocke, Monet, and Sabretooth with Mystique and Fantomex working in the background. It's like this time, it's like it could have the fact that that this writer Cullen Bunn decided to tell a story about Angel, Archangel, and Psylocke probably it's like when you're doing something like that, like that's when you're like running right up against Remender's Dark Angel saga, and it really doesn't work here, particularly with the fact that Bunn seems to have viewed the 8 month time jump from the end of Secret Wars to the current Marvel universe as being a license saying, "Hey, I can have any prior setup, and I'm not having to worry about explaining things because people will just assume that this is something that happened." So when you're saying that Archangel reappeared, who hasn't been a part of the series since the Dark Angel saga, and that Angel, who is here in a very different form than he was in pages of Wolverine and the X-Men, it's like that's kind of like, and you're saying that these guys are here. It's like, and they're like completely different than what we've known before. But we're supposed to assume that's the case just because there's an 8 month time gap. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Particularly since Bunn does seem to acknowledge what his own character art with Magneto after he died in the Last Days arc prior to Secret Wars, and then was brought back like through reasons as of yet unexplained, like through the pages of Uncanny X-Men. Basically while Bunn is like telling a nice through line with Magneto here, he's not doing it with the other characters, and that's kind of frustrating. It's like, and then when you've got then you got like Psylocke, just like doing her bit about trying to find like humanity in the dispassionate warrior drone known as Archangel, and then I'm finding out that Angel has reappeared in a town that is like so idyllic as to arouse suspicion, and hey, turns out it's been run by Genocide, Apocalypse's son, and he's basically been harvesting Angel's constantly regrowing wings to be a kind of like a hope, an inhuman host for that will bring about the end of the world or something like that. It's a kind of confusing, mostly directionless plot that doesn't really that does tread on the same ground as the Dark Angel saga, only to much lesser extent. There's also a subplot involving Monet and Sabretooth as she's been recruited by the or she's been asked by the Morlocks to find out what's going on with the plague that they're suffering from. It does turn out to have something that's relatively specific to her character in the form of her brother Emplate. But the bits with Sabretooth, being a kind, caring, kind of like he's basically Wolverine now, only like with a slightly more violent or edgy bent, or at least that's what they try to portray, but it just doesn't work. But it's like overall, like this, like the Uncanny X-Men component of Apocalypse Wars is kind of a mess. It's like, and even though it ends with like, hey, with Archangel being firmly reestablished in the continuity of the comics, it's like it does so without being really entertaining or interesting. So I don't know. It's like, I guess what I'm saying is like that while I've generally liked X-Men crossovers, like this one is is a deeply mixed bag. To my surprise, the one series that I was planning on skipping, All New X-Men, has turned out to be the most entertaining of the bunch. While Lemire's dutiful re-examination of X-Men, like standard X-Men conventions, has been more or less all right, and Cullen Bunn's work on Uncanny has been somewhat disappointing compared to his work on Magneto. I certainly hope it is a lot better with his work on the on X-Men Blue, or whichever one of the two he's working on. But it's like for casual X-Men fans, you can skip. I'd recommend just skipping this shit right now and just waiting to see how Resurrection turns out, or more in the nearest term, the how Humans versus X-Men goes. We'll see about that. It's like I am, I've been like I'm committed to following X-Men because I've like learned so much about their continuity. I'm invested in the ongoing narrative of the X-Men. So I will keep buying this stuff. This does not mean that anyone else has to as well. And it's like if you want to skip this, go right ahead. In fact, go watch X-Men Apocalypse. It's a nice self-contained stuff that is deeply silly, but it's like, yeah, have enough beer, have enough rum beforehand, and I'm sure you'll find ways to make it entertaining. Right, John?
Right. I will
Glad
tell
we're in
you.
agreement there.
I will tell you the weirdest thing in the Uncanny one was, reading one of the first lines from Sabretooth. And he's like, before I used to eat, I'd eat ya. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like he's not that mean. It's like
Yeah.
in this, it's like it's clever it's not clever misdirection. It's just misdirection.
Yeah, and Evan, hey, he likes milk and cookies just like any other kid,
Yeah, it's like I like
It's
Evan's
yeah.
oven.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. So, yeah. So cool. So you're saying all new X-Men is pretty much is worth your time then.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
it's like I said, I wasn't expecting it to be as entertaining as it was, but so far it's turned out to be the winner of the current X-Men line.
All right. Cool. Well, what do you have on tap for us next time?
Well, next time it might seem weird for me to talk about. Hey, it's like I got a series about Darth Vader to talk about that I'm not doing right now. But hey, it's like I'm sure people will still be talking about Rogue One in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, next time is all about Kieran Gillen's excellent. Yeah, it's excellent. Darth Vader series from Marvel.
All right. We'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters.